Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Toria.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic. Hey, paisan.
What did you just say?
The Mob Museum inspired me yesterday.
But I still don't understand. Like what?
I said, "A paisan." Never heard an Italian person call another Italian person paisan before?
No.
Google it.
How many Italian do you think I hang out with?
I don't know. How many do you hang out with?
Not ever.
Well, that's what happens when you live in a small town.
There was lots of Italians. They were just not super friendly.
Yeah, well.
The Slavic people.
Mafiosos were always calling each other paisan, so it was interesting though. That's what, the second time that we've been to the Mob Museum? Both times we went for free too. But it was really cool this time because everything was open. Literally everything was open. And you knew they were going to put their best foot forward. So that was kind of cool.
Right. I wish it wouldn't have been quite so. Like, I kind of wish we would have been able to get there for right when they opened so that we could have been like the first people through everything. Because some of the people in there were so slow.
Yeah, they would stand there and read every single word of every single card in every single display.
That wasn't even the problem. Like, you've gone to a museum, you do you. If that's how you like the museum, whatever. But they would stand there in a line of like 5 people reading every single placard in every.
Why is that any different than the people of Costco? I mean, that's what the people of Costco do.
The same.
It's the same herd mentality that these people have. It probably is. You're probably right about that. But that's what happens when people become assholes.
Already. So I have an Am I the Asshole for you. Speaking of assholes. I'm not going to read you the title of this one, just because I think it'll ruin it. Are you ready? This weekend, my girlfriend and I were walking at the local reservoir when down by the water we see a lady going past with hundreds of ducks following her. I'm not exaggerating at all. I'd say there were at least 200 to 300 birds, if not more, quacking and splashing and climbing all over each other, trying to get closer to the food that she was tossing. It was a hell of a scene, so I started recording it, because frankly I'd never seen anything quite like it before. I'd say the path where we were was about 30 or 40 feet back from the water, so it was a pretty respectable distance, not getting up in her face or anything. For a good minute or two, I'm just filming all these ducks going crazy. Well, the lady looks up and sees me and says, "Are you recording?" I tell her, "Yeah, I'm recording. There are like 300 ducks back there." So she yells, "I don't want to be in the picture. Delete that video. I didn't give you permission." I tell her, "No, I'm not deleting it. We're out in public. I don't need permission to take pictures of things. I'm not even taking a video of you. You just happen to be walking in it, walking past." She says, "Well, then how about if I take a picture of you?" She pulls out her phone. I tell her, "I don't care. Go ahead. What are you going to do? Frame it?" So she's just standing there taking pictures of us until finally we all walk away pissed off. So am I the asshole? I guess this lady thought he was being rude, but I didn't see anything wrong with it, with what I was doing, especially since it wasn't even her I was really taking a video of. Edit. No, this video is not taken to put on social media or to post publicly, since that keeps getting brought up in the comments. There's nothing that identifies this lady. She just walks through the bottom of the frame for a few seconds and it's too far away to see who she is. Edit number 2. Also, it didn't end because I got angry at her taking pictures of me and stormed off. The argument was just kind of over at that point and everyone walked away from each other.
Well, I'm going to say that, number one, I don't care whether they put it out on social media, use it on YouTube. I don't care, because You're in public. And unless the plan was to create a movie and sell tickets to the movie, you're just filming people out on the street. That's perfectly legal. The street photographers have been a thing since there were cameras. And it's ridiculous that people get bummed out about a camera pointed at them. And I don't know where people got this idea that they have to give their permission. I think they confuse it with when someone's going to use your image for commercial gain, they have to get your permission or pay you, one or the other. Right. And people don't get that. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
So I chose this.
Well, hold on one second. And then they'll say, well, YouTube pays you ad revenue. How do you know that? How much money do you think was attributable to mine? I can tell you how much, like 27.2 cents, if that.
But the money you're being paid is because they played ads during your content.
Exactly.
You're not being paid for your content.
Exactly.
Different.
Yeah, it's very different. Now, what happens though to people who go Patreon? Now they're selling their content. Now they're selling their content. You'd have to edit that person out.
Or blur their face like TLC does.
Yeah, that's the thing though. You can still, the whole bottom line is this. Where they go wrong is they yell and scream that you can't film me without my permission. And that's dead wrong. You can film them all you want. Where you can use it though, may or may not depend on their permission.
You watch that Amagansett Press guy all the time on YouTube, and I think he's awesome. That's just why he got named in our podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I think to myself, I probably wouldn't appreciate it if I was being filmed in public like that. I wouldn't like it. But my initial reaction would be to try to get out of the filming. Like I would cross the street and walk on the other side. And if they kept filming me, then I don't know. When they stopped, I might ask them if they could blur my face in it so that I wouldn't be in their video. But my initial reaction would be get as far away from the psychos who were filming as possible, because that's the easiest way to not be in their video.
Well, yeah, you don't go head over to the camera and become star of the show. But I mean, I think the question is the guy the asshole? And I don't think he's the asshole. I actually think she's the asshole for acting the way that she's acting. But at the same time, I'm not going to call her the asshole. And here's why. It's such a common misconception that people have.
So then I'm reading the comments, right? And the very first comment listed, you're the asshole. It might be legal, but if someone doesn't want to be recorded, you should respect that. Why?
I mean, why? I have my rights. They have their rights. Why, if I'm not violating their rights, should I allow them to violate my rights?
Yep. And then there's a whole discussion underneath that about how there's apparently, and I'm going to say apparently because I know what people of Reddit are like, and they don't know what the actual laws are.
Well, correct.
But apparently, according to this person, in Germany, you have to delete any footage containing others if they ask. Otherwise, you can get sued.
I can't comment. I don't know.
And apparently, filming others in public is completely illegal in Japan. I don't know what either of these things have.
That's not true.
Am I the asshole? Because...
But that's not true. I mean, what vlog do I watch from a baseball player? And where is he? He's in Japan. And he takes it into stores and he talks to people and they're on the video. There's nothing illegal about that. I don't know. People think they know what they're talking about, but they don't know what they're talking about.
That one comment at the very top that I first read you led to this whole discussion about how he's the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And every other comment I found said, fuck off. You're not the asshole. If at the very best, nobody's the asshole in this. And at the very worst, she's the asshole.
Exactly. Totally agree with that.
You did nothing to harm her. And the person at the very bottom said, 1, you're not the asshole. 2, because she didn't like that you took a video of her, you didn't post it on social media. So you're double not the asshole. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And you know what? I'm going to say something. That's what I said before. And this is the perfect time to interject it. Whether or not you're the asshole isn't about whether you film someone or not. You're allowed to do that. So you're not the asshole. Don't go out in public if you don't want to be filmed. It's quite simple.
There was 5 cameras in the place we went and had dinner tonight.
Yes. And then
you aren't the asshole as long as if you're going to post it after you know that person complained, blur them out. That's all you got to do. Blur them out using what they say, their voice. Who knows? Maybe you run them through one of those voice changer where it talks like, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Maybe you change their voice even. You can still use it. It's ridiculous to say you can't. It's just a matter of being respectful to that person's wishes. That's all.
How many times you and I have been filming for What Happens in Vegas, and somebody will be walking by and they make fucking faces at the camera.
Yeah, people ham it up.
Right. Like when we were filming at the Mob Museum, like you just said, that one employee lady who walked by, she walked by and she did this like funky, I'm going to stick my tongue out face as she was in the camera. And I was like, oh my God, lady.
Yeah. It's interesting. But the bottom line is what I'm saying. You have it backwards, people. It's not about, oh, you can't film me without my permission. Yeah, we can. It's you can't use it for commercial gain without my permission. 100% true. Anything else? Sorry. And you know what? As she said earlier, just to clarify, YouTube is not paying people for their content. YouTube is paying people for ad revenue that they earned while their content was being viewed by somebody.
Right. They made money off the content, but you didn't.
Right.
So they decided to nicely share that with you as a thing.
Well, and then the thing is, that's why you make good content.
Right.
Because then people watch the ads, more people come, more people watch the ads because they want to see your content. And then you make more money because you made better content.
Yep.
And YouTube likes that you made better content. So it's like this vicious cycle. They push you harder. Then you get pushed harder. You start to plateau. You do it all over again. It's crazy. YouTube and all that algorithm stuff, the social media is flipping insane. So what do you think? You didn't say what you think. I said I don't think he's an asshole, and quite frankly, she could be the asshole. But I kind of agree with that one person who said it's either nobody or her.
I mean, I think nobody's the asshole because there's so many misconceptions and so much bullshit going around. And like TV shows and stuff, like when you see like MTV shows or TLC, they get like randos in the shot. A lot of the time they're blurred out. And I think it causes a lot of confusion for people. So I don't think being stupid makes you an asshole. So.
Well, agreed. And it's like we've watched those body cam videos. And how many times have we heard people say to them, well, you didn't tell me, you have to tell me why you're arresting me. You can't just arrest me and then tell me later. And you have to read me my rights right now. Well, neither of those things is true.
Right.
They will eventually tell you why they arrested you. That's mandatory. And they will eventually read you their rights if they're going to question you. They may not question you at all. I mean, police officer might have stood right there while you pulled the trigger and killed somebody. He's got you. He's not gonna sit there and ask you questions. He's gonna
be in question. They don't have to have rights.
There's no point. Exactly. Because it's just telling you
right.
have the right to remain silent.
It has nothing to do with your right to quote unquote not be thrown in the back of a police car.
Right. Yeah, and that's what these people think that. So it's no wonder there's people out there who swear up and down that you cannot, it's a federal building. You can't film here. You can't film here. And I got to say, you mentioned M. Against It Press, and I'm going to mention him again. And no, we have not been sponsored by anybody. It's just us because we like this particular guy and his son.
But bro, if you want
who's called Watching the Watchman.
You want to come on the show? We got space.
Always. You and Ben. But in any event, he always gives the respect that he gets back.
Right.
But what is always shocking kind of to him is how dumb people can be. Oh, it's federal property. You're not allowed to film here. Really? So is that why the sign in your lobby says I can? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, dude.
In a post office.
And people don't know what the hell the rules really are.
Well, I feel much more educated in them now after watching his videos.
Well, yeah, and what's what I was going to get at. I don't usually like these First Amendment auditor people. I feel like they purposely instigate things. And I think to an extent he does too. Like where he instigates is when they say, so what are you doing? Well, I'd rather not say. That's where he starts to instigate. He should just have crazy line that he gives every single time. What are you doing? What do you think I'm doing? I'm climbing Mount Everest. You know what I'm saying? Like, you throw something. Wouldn't that be funnier than just I'd rather not say.
How much you go without escalating the situation?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. There's ways to keep it calm and light.
If he didn't escalate the situation, he'd have half as much YouTube content.
Well, exactly. But that's not the point. I'm just trying to talk about to the point of him saying he never escalates, but he always escalates. And I like it the way he does it because it's very respectful. He's kind of like, sorry, I'm going to puff up, and however big I am, that's how you're going to have to go through that. Nothing shorter than that. And boom, he grows into this big muscular dude because he knows his rights. Well, and it's important to know your rights because something like that, you get some idiot. Like if we're trying to film for what happens in Vegas, and I'm going to say something. I want to say this flat out here. I am pretty sure that places like the Mob Museum, don't say anything about what's coming up here. I am sure that places like the Mob Museum have a way for you to contact them and be like, yo, I'm got this YouTube channel. It has 10,000 subscribers. This is how many hits we're getting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Could we video? And we'll be discreet and just use our phone so no one would ever know. And you could do that, okay? But we didn't think of it needing to do that ahead of time. Then we got there. What did it say? No video. Play as many pictures as you want. No video. And then you kind of put it together as to why, because they had a lot of like interactive exhibits and they didn't want people recording it and putting it on YouTube because then why the fuck would anyone want to go? I never even thought of that. I was like, when you said that, it was like huge light bulb turned on for me. Like ding, 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 ding. Because it's right. Why would I want to go to the whatever museum if I already saw it on YouTube? Who cares?
I mean, you could take pictures of that like courtroom area thing in there, which is really cool. If you haven't been to the Mob Museum,
you got it.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah, it's the video came out the day after we recorded this, so like probably 3 weeks ago. Right the Friday before Thanksgiving, the video, American Thanksgiving, the video would have come out about the Mob Museum. You should go back and watch that. Back and watch that.
They had like this courtroom thing in there where it like kind of reenacts the whole court trials where the mob was really exposed to America and all that good stuff. And I think that it's probably the coolest thing in there. You could take pictures of it. Obviously doesn't really do it justice. But you'll notice, while I may have been disrespectful for little tiny pieces and taken a couple of little tiny videos, I made sure they weren't of any of their interactive exhibits, and they were just of things that I could catch a little bit better on video, but we could have captured on camera just fine too.
Yeah, I respected their wishes completely. And it cost me a lot of time editing that video. And I left certain things out just out of respect to the whole thing, And I purposely, when I was there, because of the conversation we had about why they wouldn't video it, I thought carefully about like the angles that I used to take pictures of the exhibits because I don't want to give it away.
Right.
And I wasn't about like, okay, we took instant pictures of each one of the steps of that, like different cities. Remember, like there was like, you'd pick a city and then it'd tell you what the mob was involved in there. You pick like restaurants and it would show you whatever, entertainment, it would show you whatever. Well, we took an individual picture of each one of those, right? And then I thought about it when I was editing the video and I was like, you're giving away one of their interactive exhibits. And I tossed it. Like I didn't delete the photos, but I tossed it out of the video. I purposely didn't want to reveal their big things. But like I took pictures of things like from a weird angle in close and tried to make it a little more obscure.
The one thing I wish I would have done is videoed when you were in the electric chair instead of just taking a photo. And I remember overhearing the employee that was working there. I took a little video for you too, just to make it better. So obviously they didn't care if you videoed yourself getting electrocuted.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things where if overall you were behaving yourself, like, 95% no video and 5% some video, they wouldn't say a word. It's just if you were sitting in there with a big old camera and you're like recording everything. Oh, no, I don't think they'd
They've
like
put
that.
a lot of work into that museum, and it's not cheap to go there
No.
because they've done such a good job.
Yeah, it's by far the best museum I personally have ever been to.
I think that it's the best, and it's only a little tiny bit better than the one we went to in Melbourne. That was an A+ museum.
That was a great museum. Yeah, the Natural History Museum that we went to. Yeah, that's true. That was a great museum. But you know what else was kind of cool for me? If we're going to talk about museums, then we'll get out of here. The Frank Slide place. I've been there multiple times, and both times I was just like blown away.
That's another museum that they've poured a lot of money into, and it's a really well done. It used to be just hot garbage, okay? It used to be like handwritten notes of Cooper.
Well, somebody came in and professionalized it,
They renovated it in like 2008 or something, and that's when it became what it is now.
Well, it's nice. And that's the thing. Like, when I'm going to tie it up now is when you bring it back to the mob museum, I knew a lot of the stories. I was born in New York. I had family there. So I knew a lot of the stories about the mafia and whatnot, but you never know what's true and what's not. Then you go to this mob museum and you get like this connection to it because they show you the things that they were into. And it was just like, I don't know, I was kind of blown away by how cool some of the stuff that we saw was. It was just amazing.
Every time we talk about the mob and the mob museum, I think to myself, wow, those old-fashioned mobsters would have just destroyed the bullshit gangbangers of 2023.
Yes. Because they were very smart.
They were smart, and they weren't like the kind of shit that just like shot people up for fun.
No, they had like a code of honor, but they were ruthless about enforcing it. But they were ruthless about it once you did. There was no like second chance. Once you did it, you were dead.
Am I regularly afraid of gangbangery type people? Yeah, pretty much. Am I regularly afraid of the Italian mob? Not even a little bit. I ain't done nothing to them.
Right. Right. Well, there was even a thing there that's in the video that the sign said, we only kill ourselves. And he said that to somebody. He was like, why do you care? We only kill ourselves. And it makes sense because they only kill people who get in the way of their business ventures and disrespect them.
I mean, they were obviously all into the illegal gambling and all that stuff. And if you cross them by having a huge debt and not paying it off, you're asking for it at that point.
They'd end you. Yep.
You'd be sleeping with the fishies, just like this podcast is about to.
Well, you should be. And so should we be, because we be doing this too long.
Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.